Hey, what up, you guys? It's your boy AP with another video. Today I'm going to talk about a little bit about what I've been reading lately in this book called Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. Right now I'm at chapter 6. The title is It's Not About a Trophy. And in this chapter it talks about David. You know, he's a Navy SEAL. He's done a lot of things in the military and accomplished a lot of things. And at this moment here in chapter 6, he's running a marathon. You know, he signed up to run a marathon, 100-mile race. But I'll tell you guys in a little bit why he's running the race. But right now he's explaining that he's in the facility, in the military facility, the camp, and he's exiting out the building, but he likes to take a look in the gym to see who's actually getting after it, you know. And he sees his old lieutenant or sergeant, the one who trained him in Bud's training. And but he's already graduated. He's already a Navy SEAL. He's graduated. He went through Hell Week. Hell Week is you know, a training that you need to do in order to become a Navy SEAL, which is, you know, look it up. If you guys don't know what Hell Week is, look it up. Bud's training. It's you know, it's some real stuff, you know. Not a lot of people make it. Very, very difficult. It changes you as a person. It changes you if you complete it. If you're able to complete it, it'll change your whole life, you know. So you won't be the same person again. But he's already graduated. He takes a peek at the gym to see who's getting after it, and he sees his sergeant SBG, who's, you know, a hard MF, you know, and he's still getting after it. So he sees him. They look at each other, and he's like, "Hey," you know, he tells David, "Hey, you want to lift weights with me? You want?" And David is like, he's kind of like, you know, he thinks he's joking, but SBG's not joking, and he's like, "All right." And they start lifting weights. You know, they start lifting deadlifts like 315, bench pressing 225 until their quads and hamstrings are quivering. But the funny thing is that the very next day, David has to run a 100-mile marathon. So, you know, that's lifting heavy weights the day before a 100-mile race that you're not prepared for. You haven't trained. You don't have the stamina, the cardio, or the nutrition that, you know, helps out with a marathon. It's probably not a good idea for you to start lifting heavy weights, you know, the day before. So, but, you know, as you know, David, he'll just do the hardest. He'll always take the hardest route, the most difficult route, the most painful route. That's, you know, he's you know, a unique person in that most people just find the easiest way out. This guy's, you could call him crazy, you know, but in a good way, though. You know, a lot of us would wish that we're that type of crazy, you know. For a lot of people, this guy's crazy. You know, this guy, you know, something's wrong with him. But I guess, you know, if you read the book, you'll understand why he goes so hard, you know. You know, if you read his book, a lot of men out there can relate, or women, mostly men, I think, can relate to, you know, the life experiences that David has. But so yeah, so he always takes the hardest route. He's like, I don't care, bring it on. So David goes on to shows up at the marathon, right? He's already there with his wife, his second wife, and I think he's already in a couple miles, right, at the beginning stages of the marathon. And his sergeant, the one that he was lifting weights, SBG, he shows up too to support him. And his wife and his daughter or son, I'm not quite sure, his child or children, show up there to support David, you know. And David mentions in the book that his sergeant starts laughing because, you know, he sees David out there, you know, a pretty well-built man, 6-something, 200 probably something pounds, I'm not quite sure. And all the other marathoners, they look very, you know, like, you know, I don't know, kale eating, granola eating, college professor looking, I don't know, just lightweight type of people compared to David Goggins, right? Because he's built, he has muscles, he looks like he mentions that he looks like a Raiders linebacker, so he just looks out of place in the marathon. But David also, even though they look like that, those marathoners, they look like that, David acknowledges that these guys are serious athletes. They may have that look, but they're, really like into the nutrition, just the fundamentals of being an athlete in that type of sport. So they ain't no joke either. There's some serious athletes in there, and David recognizes that. And one of the top athletes, what's it called? One of the top athletes is from Japan. It's a lady, a Japanese woman named Miss Inagaki. I think that's how you say it. Like a little small woman, super lightweight. I don't know if she's even 100 pounds. I don't even know, less or a little bit more. She looks like this little thing, right? It shows a picture of him next to her. He's, David's big without a shirt on, and muscular, and there's this little lady, this little Japanese woman. They look kind of funny, next to each other, keeping up pace. So they're keeping right almost always for a good part of the race. They're right there, neck and neck. And there's a little small Japanese one, but she's a serious athlete though. She's one of the top performers in the marathon. She's well recognized, So he's going up against these marathoners that have that look, and SBG kind of laughs at him for that. And he keeps running. David keeps running, and there's a couple of guys. I'm not sure what they're called. I think what's his name, Wets or something. I'm not quite sure the name, but he's giving advice to David, because he's probably sees David, and he's like, he doesn't really know or look like he knows what he's doing. He just kind of just winging it. So he's giving advice to David, like, hey, pace yourself, don't go so hard. Hey, you try to strategize how you're gonna finish this race, your milestones, because it's a lot. If you just think about the whole race, it's a lot. And I guess David was getting overwhelmed with the idea of strategizing at that moment, but then a little bit later on starts realizing that that's probably what he needs to do, because you need to break down the whole race. Because if you don't break down the whole race somehow in your mind, or have like a strategy to finish the race, the 100-mile race in 24 hours, is going to be very overwhelming. It's going to seem like you're just running endlessly forever. There's no, and you're that's not going to be, a good result. You're just going to end up probably quitting, or just not being able to finish the race on time. But David starts realizing this, right? So David takes on this race with 3-day notice, and I'll explain a little bit more later on why he's running this race, and why is it because he had a 3-day notice. So let me see what I got here. Where's your strategy milestone? So yeah, that's about it. So yeah, he's entered this race, and he's winging it, right? And he just looks so out of place, and yeah, so he's on his way. So so in this page right here, I'm gonna talk about how David, as he's talking about this this situation, this current event that's happening to him in the race, and why he's racing it, it ties into this other story that we're gonna get into. It talks about he talks about he's in the military. He goes back, he's running, but he's also explaining other situations that are tied in to why he's running the marathon. So he talks about we're gonna, the marathon stuff, we're just gonna put it on pause. Now we're gonna jump into him. I'm gonna try to tie it back. I'm not that good with, probably, so sorry if it doesn't make sense, or just bear with me. Hopefully you could understand it somewhat. But so he's right at that. We're gonna take a pause. He's right now, and when he was training for BUD/S, or the Navy SEALs are trained to do, basically they're trained to do it all. So they're always in school, perfecting their skills, their craft, they're either deployed or training other Navy SEALs, and so they're always busy, and but for some reason when David was training, he never got to train for free fall, and so somehow later on in his career, he got picked to, I forgot what the program was called, but he got picked to train to be certified for free fall. That's when you're parachuting, because he never had that chance. He should have, but for some reason, I don't know, he just didn't give that training in his program. So he gets picked, right? And but when he gets picked, he's in with this one guy, right? His name's Morgan, right? But we're gonna take another little pause. Apologize. But when David was trying to become a Navy SEAL, and like I was saying, Hell Week or BUD/S training, it's very difficult. So it's common for you to fail once. I think the max is 3 times, but and I think he got it on the 3rd time, barely, or something like that. And there's a lot of guys that fail, because it's very difficult. You get injured. He even explains in the book, there's this, I don't know if he was in his second time trying it, or I forgot, or the 3rd or the 1st, I forgot which one of those, but there's a guy who actually dies while they're training, and it's something you sign up for, and it's a program that gets you ready for war. You're gonna face things in the war so that they try to prepare you as best as possible. So if you happen to die in the training, hey, it is what it is. You signed up for it. This is war. This is how life works. Suck it up and just continue training. And so Hell Week is very tough. A lot of people don't make it. So so when David is going through these trainings, he's meeting a lot of people. You bump into people. You're like, oh, I know that guy. He quit. Or not quit, but he got injured, and then you see him later on, and then you fail yourself, or you didn't make it, you got hurt. You go your 2nd time, you meet a couple more people, and you go to your 3rd time, hopefully you make it, and then you start recognizing faces, right? And you remember those people. So right now, like I said, so you start remembering. So let's say he graduates, right? He graduates BUD/S, I think on his 3rd try, and I think I'm starting to remember. I think the guy who was in training that passed away was, I think, in the 3rd time of David trying to complete the BUD/S Hell Week program. So yeah, time goes by. David didn't get to do the free fall training. And he gets selected to do the training. The military or the Navy SEALs, they picked him. Do you want to be certified for free fall? And David has the fear of heights. So, and you know how, like I said, David just goes for the hard. Anything that he's afraid of, or the hardest, most painful, most dangerous, he's gonna take that route. So he says, yeah, sign me up. And when he's signed up for that free fall training, I think it's like a 4-week training session. Let me see, is it 4 weeks? Not sure, but yeah, it's a 4-week training session, and there he meets with this guy named Morgan. But Morgan is has a brother. His name's Marcus. And I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. It's just that the notes are. But let's say how do I say this? So all of this, what I'm trying to say is that it ties in to a movie that we all watched called Lone Survivor with Mark Wahlberg, right? There's a book about it, and there's a movie about it, obviously. And I don't know if you've seen a couple of videos on the internet, on YouTube or other social media platforms, of Marcus Luttrell, the Navy SEAL who survived that operation, and with Joe Rogan and stuff like that. But what's it called? That's what this is all tying in. Sorry, it's like doesn't make sense, or I'm just trying my best, But yeah, that's what I'm trying to explain. So David, you know, he's in training for free fall. He meets Marcus, the guy who was in the movie with the lone survivor, what it was about, Marcus Luttrell. But he's training. He knows all the guys. David right here says that he knows all the guys. You know, it says David knew all 4 guys. You know, Danny, Michael, Matthew, and obviously Marcus Luttrell. You know, and I think let me see, Marcus. I think David met Marcus in one of his attempts to you know, for Hell Week. He met him out. He explains how Marcus stood out. You know, he's like 6'2", you know, a big guy, like 200 something pounds, and Marcus sought out David. You know, and they were just like a odd pairing. You know, because what's it called? Marcus was like some hard ass Texas dude, and David was like some cornfield Indiana boy. You know. So it was like an odd pairing, but they connected. You know, they knew each other. They trained, so you know, they asked for advice. Hey, you're good at this. Can you help me with that? You know, so they kind of stayed together, right? And they became close. But David knew all from the movie Lone Survivor. He knew all the guys. He knew Danny, Michael, Matthew, and Marcus. But Marcus has a twin brother that looks exactly like him. So in the book, he says that I think on his second or third attempt, I get mixed up which one, he meets, I think Marcus graduates first from Hell's Week or Bud's Week, and then his twin brother goes in after, you know. So I think one brother graduates first, and then the other guy starts a little bit later on the training. And David thinks he sees him again, like, hey, I see, but it's not Marcus that because he met Marcus first, the little brother. They're only like by 7 minutes apart. They're twin brothers. So Morgan was born 7 minutes earlier, and Marcus was 7 minutes later. So yeah, so he's seeing him again, but it's his twin brother Morgan. And what's it called? So yeah, they complete the training. Later on, they sign up for, like I said, the free fall training, free fall training. And you know, they're out there in Yuma, Arizona. The training takes place in Yuma, Arizona, and you know, they're doing the training. They're hanging out, kicking it for like I forgot how long. They're 4 weeks or something like that. They're hanging out, and then they go to like I said, they're in Yuma, Arizona. It's a desert out in the summer, like it's like 127 degrees, no signal service. So they're doing the training, right? And then they're gonna do their last training session, and you know, they're explaining David's like having flashbacks of like what his life was 7 years earlier. You know, he was like overweight. He was like going around hunting for like fast food, and he was just the overweight guy. Had nothing, you know, there was just nothing interesting about him. He was just like basically explaining that he was a loser, right? And just looking for fast food, hamburgers, chocolate milkshakes, and he hated his job, right? He'll go like out at the middle of the night and zapping like rodents or roaches and dumpsters and raccoons flying out of this place. And it's just a crappy job, you know, depressing, lonely, just crappy job, you know. And he's just like, man, I can't believe that I went from there to now, like, I'm literally flying. Like, I'm in the back of this what's it called, I'm in the back of this huge ass plane. The ramp is dropping, and you know, I'm actually flying. I'm literally flying. And what's it called? So but in that moment, he's kind of scared. He's thinking about everything that could go wrong, like death. But somehow he's able to just grab a hold of that and just enjoy the moment, you know, just enjoy the moment. Like, man, I was like doing nothing with my life. Now I'm over here just flying, you know. So yeah, that happens. They say that they strap you on with like 50-pound a bag or something with a rifle, some chem lights or something like that, and gas mask. and they need the chem lights because when they drop the door open, you can't see nothing. It's just pitch black. And I try to put myself in that position, that situation. I'm like, that's scary. Like, you're in the, like, who knows how tall you are, how high you are off the ground. You can't see nothing. They strap you on with a 50-pound bag and a rifle with a whole bunch of other stuff, plus your suit, your kit, your boots, whatever you're wearing, and you just drop into the air and you can't see pitch black. Like, man, that's some scary stuff. But they train for that. You know, a lot of respect for that. But yeah, so he's training with Morgan, right? The older brother. And yeah, like I said, he was training with the brother. And David was saying the good thing about Yuma, Arizona, in that area is there's no cell service, so you gotta enjoy, you know, just peace. You know, no phone, none of that. And I guess he's his one of his responsibilities, or when you graduate, or he was explaining something like that, where you're tasked to leave the building like how it was. So, you know, leave it like if there's no one there. Like, if you used up the building for the training session, you clean up everything, the cafeteria, the hallways, whatever it is. But his duty was the bathrooms. And so I guess he was in the bathroom for some time, and he goes in the bathroom, and for some reason there's signal cell service in there. So when they're done with the training, you know, they fall, they parachute. He says that it sounds like a tornado, and then they parachute and it's just quiet, so quiet that he can't even hear his heart beating. So then they fall, right? They don't fall. They land, and then they're certified. They're free fall certified, you know. And then after that's done, you know, I guess he goes to the bathroom or starts cleaning it or whatever on his duty, and then his cell phone starts getting flooded with text messages and you know, phone calls, missed phone calls. And he finds out the news that some of his colleagues, you know, at that same time that they were, you know, finishing up training, you know, something terrible has happened, you know, to some of his colleagues that he knew, all the guys, you know, from different classes, and you know, he knew all the guys. He knew, like I said, I mentioned the names earlier, the 4 guys. Including Marcus, which is the little brother of Morgan, the one that he's training in free falling in Arizona at that very moment. So he goes into the bathroom, he gets the bad news. You know, he feels, you know, just heartbroken, and he goes out to the bathroom and he tells Morgan the bad news that, you know, the operation was called Red Wings, and it was all the 4 guys, including you know, Marcus, you know, the one from the lone survivor. So Morgan, you know, the older brother, finds out. He's like, you know, takes a moment, considers it, nods, and he just tells Dave, my brother's not dead. You know, he mentions it. You know, I don't know if it's true. He just mentions it, but you know, twins, they have like another sense of the other brother. I don't know. But he says that, and he says he has a feeling that his brother's not dead. And he talks about how close they are. You know, they've always been very close, brothers. What's it called? They've been real close brothers, and he has that feeling that his brother's not dead. So, you know, he goes into the car, his car. And he starts driving, and I think he starts driving to San Diego. And once he gets to like civilization, his phone floods up too. His phone floods up, and you know, he talks about you know, for days they didn't know what happened to his brother. You know, everyone was saying that everyone's dead. Something about MIA, KIA, I'm not sure what that means, but basically, like, you know, they're might as well not send a rescue team over there because it's like 100% that they're dead, so it's not even worth trying. So I guess you know, but this what's it called? So yeah, it's not worth trying. And hold up. But yeah, this operation is known throughout history. They say is like considered like one of the worst losses in SEAL team history. And but yeah, they basically called it that everyone's dead. And so Morgan, I don't know who he spoke with. I don't know what type of officials, or I don't know where. He said, you know, my brother may be hurt, he may be effed up, but I know he's alive and he's out there in enemy territory and he could still be alive. You guys need to go get him out there, or if not, I'm gonna go out there and find him and get him back. So, you know, but you know, before this, you know, they're probably the guys, you know, they're out in the mountains of Afghanistan. Everything went bad because, you know, they got caught by some villagers like in the movie. And you know, there's pro-Taliban, there's more pro-Taliban, like more elite pro-Taliban. I don't know if they're called Hajis. I'm not sure. I'm probably not pronouncing it right, but they're called like Hajis, and they're just more than expected, you know. Where is it at? Yeah, there's yeah, more pro-Taliban Hajis. I think that's how you active in those mountains than expected. And once Morgan and his team were discovered by villagers, like I said, it was 4 guys against a well-armed militia of somewhere between 30 men to 200 men, but reports vary. But you know, but the Navy SEALs, they fought hard. Right here it says, David mentions, but you know, the SEALs fought hard. 4 SEALs can put up, you know, a hell of a show. Each one can usually do as much damage as 5 regular troops, and they made their presence felt. The battle played out along the ridgeline, about 9,000 feet in elevation, where they had communication problems. And once they got the communications going on, they were able to assemble a team to go get him, right? And some Blackhawks, some helicopters, you know, but and some other type of attack helicopters. But it took hours because I'm not sure the logistics or the transportation, something was going off. Like the Navy SEALs don't have their own. I don't know what it was saying. Some type of transport issues. So it took another few hours to even send a squad or a rescue over there. And you know, once they sent the rescues, you know, the first helicopter got shot down with like some, you know, by small arm fires. And then you know, I think the other one tried to unload like eight Navy SEALs, but they took too long. They were in one spot for too long, so they got shot with a rocket propelled grenade. And you know, the helicopter spun out and everyone on board was unfortunately killed. You know, but then they try to send in the second rescue, but by the time they send everyone, they send a second rescue, anyone who was left behind or made it out to the mountains was already dead. But except you know, the only survivor, which was Marcus. Even though he was injured, some villagers nursed him and fed him, and they kept him alive, you know, and hidden from the Talibans. Marcus was hit multiple times by enemy fire and went missing for 5 days. He was saved by, like I said, Afghan villagers, and on July 3rd, 2005, they rescued him. And you know, unfortunately, that operations and all the rescues took the lives of 19 special operations warriors, including 11 Navy SEALs. So, you know, so that's what he was talking about, you know. And like I said, I know you guys heard the story. I know you guys seen the movie multiple times. And the reason why you know, David is running these marathons is because, you know, he wanted to do something about it. He wanted to help in any way, shape, or form to help out those men who lost their lives, who left behind wives and children, because once a tragedy like that happens, the bills just don't stop coming in. The children still need basic needs, and eventually they're gonna need their college education paid off. So their parents served our country, our nation, to keep us safe. So I'm over here doing these videos and stuff like that where we feel safe, and those children need help. So what David was trying to do was he was trying to find a way to fundraise money for those families. And what's it called? So David started Googling around for world's toughest foot races and landed on a race called the Badwater 135, which is a ultra marathon of the ultra marathons. This is like the hardest race, one of the, if not the hardest, one of the hardest races in the world. But you just can't get into it. You just can't. So not anyone can just sign up to it. So David vowed to run Badwater 135 to raise money for Special Operations Warrior Foundation. But like I said, not anyone can sign up. Only the elite of the elite. And David will have to prove himself by first doing a 100-mile race with 24 hours and with a 3-day notice in San Diego, California. So what happens is that he found the race. He got in contact with the guy who runs the Badwater 135, and this guy is a super badass athlete. Like, he's like basically Superman, right? And he starts laughing because David, this random guy calling him super early in the morning, and he tells him, like, what are you doing? Like it's really late, like early in the morning. Call me back. I don't know. It's just not a good first meeting introduction on the phone. So he waits a little bit later on, and the second one doesn't go well either. But he explains who he is, why he's trying to get into the race. I don't know how they make money off, how he's trying to make money off it, or how they raise money. I'm not quite sure, but I guess you can. And like I said, not like I said, but like his sergeant SBG from the Navy SEALs, he sends a letter of recommendation to the guy. I forgot the guy's name, but the one who runs the Badwater 135, and he's like, yo, this guy is the elite of the elite. He was at the top of his class, and in the Navy SEALs, I bet you he'll finish in the top 10, whatever it is. But he's the guy, the owner that runs the Badwater 135 marathon. He's not buying it. He's like, yo, this is like the hardest race in the world, where it goes to so many different terrains and stages, and it's easy for a super athlete to even die in these type of races. Like, it's that serious. So he just can't allow anyone to come into the race, because then if someone happens to die, then it falls on his plate, and it just the marathon just starts falling apart, dismantling, and that whole just business or whatever it is, the marathon, it just won't exist anymore. So that's why they're very careful on selecting who gets to race in this ultra marathon. So he says, you want to have a chance, or I'll even consider you joining this marathon. What's it called? You first have to race this 100-mile race in 24 hours in San Diego. So David says, why not? Let's get into it. But David doesn't really know what he's getting himself into. Even this smaller version of a race compared to the big one, he almost, like, if you ever like know about it or read about it, or I'll just tell you, is that that race, he almost died. Like, he was pissing out blood, his nails were falling off, everything was jacked up. He didn't have, I don't know, it was just like, I don't even know how he survived. Like, the way the details that he puts in on how he was feeling, what he was going through, how his body was breaking down, I have no idea how he was alive. By the time he finished, crashed down in his kitchen, he was just in the shower, just laying there, he didn't want to go to the hospital. He should have gone to the hospital, but like, you know, that's like I said, David just always chooses like the hardest route, even if it's death. He'll just go in after that. I don't know why, but he's just crazy like that. But you know, I don't know, man. He should have died. He's not even pissing out blood no more. He's just pissing out brown stuff. But yeah, he finishes the. I don't know how at the when he's racing and he's getting closer and he's like a zombie. Like the details that he mentioned, like puts in the book, it can't even get close to like what I'm telling you. You have to read the book. He's like a zombie. Like I don't know. This guy has like a different motor. Like, you know, he's just a different motor. He's just a different type of breed. But he's like basically not like a zombie. Just like, I don't know how he finds the energy. He saves the cookie jar. I don't know. He just starts thinking about all the things that he thought he could never achieve. Even if it's like little things like him completing, you know, him losing weight, him, you know, finishing up, graduating from the Navy SEALs, multiple injuries, found a way to graduate, the buds, and just a whole, like his fear of heights, free falling, all like everything. Even when he was a little kid, you know, talks about the cookie jar where his mom used to fill in the cookie jar with different types of cookies, and I don't know, the cookie jar effect. I don't know, just having like small victories inside of the cookie jar, and whenever like you say, I can't do this, I can't finish this obstacle, this is too hard, this is too much of a big of a task for me, I'm never gonna be able to do it. You just open the imaginary cookie jar, you go in there and you don't know what type of cookie, those cookies are like memories of you accomplishing things that you didn't think you were gonna accomplish, or finish up tasks that were impossible. Like, oh, I learned how to read. Oh, I graduated this. I got an A+ in math. Whatever it is that you thought you couldn't do and you achieved it, you could use those small victories to help you fuel yourself, or put that battery or that energy that you need to do whatever impossible task that you're currently doing or that you feel you can't do at that moment. So he starts thinking about, like, you know, for a second he explains, like, why again, like the question keeps going again, like, why am I doing this? And when it comes to like his most darkest moment in the race, or his most painful, he starts to realize, like, this is not about the soldiers that passed away, or this is about me. Now, when things get critical like that, like, this is about me. Like, it starts, you know, it probably sounds kind of selfish, but maybe you needed to do that in order to finish the race, or just find that energy that, like, you're about to crash out. So he uses that, all those, like, cookie jar, that selfish. No, that's not probably the right word. It's selfish, but just like on you, like the focus is no longer on the fallen soldiers or the good cause that you're trying to do. You gotta start thinking about, like, your child. He starts thinking about, like, his childhood, like all the things that he didn't think he was gonna accomplish, and somehow all those, like, past memories with those past victories, he finds a way to get the juice enough to finish the race, and he actually finishes the race. And you know, when he's done, he just has shit all over his back. There's blood, pissing out blood, and he just basically, like, almost like a dead corpse by the end of the time. His wife gets him on the car. They go back to she wants him to go to the hospital, but, you know, he doesn't want to go to the hospital because they're gonna just put, like, morphine or some type of pain reliever. But he doesn't want the pain reliever. He just wants, you know, the pain to, you know, he just accomplished something, like one of his greatest accomplishments. You know, like, I don't know if no one in history has ever, you know, signed up for a 100-mile race with no experience, no, you know, I don't know how he explains it, but he's like, very few people on earth who's accomplished that, you know. I forgot how he says it, but, you know, not a lot of people. He knows for a fact that, and you know, very few humans, or if that, have done what he's done in those circumstances that he found himself in. I'm not sure I don't know if he was, like, injured or something else, but, like, very few would even, for what, you know. So he's happy about that he's done something that not many people would do or have ever done. So that's the cookie jar effect. Like if you ever like feel like you can't do something, or just get the cookie, just remember like, hey, I was able to, when I thought I couldn't do this, I did it. I accomplished it. And you just, those little small victories, you use them to finish something, you know. Finish, you know. I didn't think I was gonna graduate high school. I did it. Now I'm in my final exams in college. This test is too hard. You just start remembering all the impossible things you thought you couldn't do to graduate high school. You know, now you use it to ace that exam, pass that exam with the minimum percentage required to, you know, pass. And sorry about that. Get your diploma. Then you use that, you know, whatever it might be, you know, whatever task that you're trying to fulfill. So, yeah, you know, so yeah, David finishes the race within 24 hours, and now he's able to go into that harder task, which is the Badwater 135, to help raise money for, you know, for the fallen soldiers, his teammates. But yeah, that was a long video. I just thought that was interesting about that. And a little side note before I end this video, you know, whoever's watching this, I really appreciate it. It's very long, you know, probably not many people are gonna watch it, but yeah, I started watching a little bit more YouTube videos about Marcus Luttrell, and you know, these men, they be doing crazy stuff. Like they do the impossible, or they almost die, and they go right back into it, you know. Like my uncle's one of these guys. He's not, you know, but he's in the labor, in a physical labor, you know. He's I call him like a super Mexican, you know. Everyone knows that Mexicans work very hard, you know. We work under the sun, construction, all field work. Everyone knows we're in the back of the restaurants. Everyone knows that Mexican, but this guy, he's like, I don't know, man. I got money on it, you know. If they tell I got money on my uncle, you know. I call him the Mexican Samson because he just got like strength, like, and a work ethic that just like, I don't know, you know. It's crazy. Like he'll like drink like 40 beers one night, come home like at 2 in the morning, and get up for work for like 5 in the morning and work like all the way till like 9 p.m. and then the next day do the same shit again. Like, I don't know how. I have no idea. You know, these men, you know, very inspirational. You know, David Goggins, Marcus Luttrell, my uncle, even though they're like way, you know, it's not compared to, you know, what these Navy SEALs and the people who serve our country. You know, right after, like I'm saying, he's dying off of this 100-mile race in order to get to a race that's even much harder. And Marcus Luttrell, after the Lone Survivor movie, you seen what happened, right? After that, not too long ago, he goes on another deployment. He's just ready again. Like, once he's healed up, he's like, put me back out there. That's like some hard, you know, shit right there. And when you're watching the movie, I was watching, you know how they mention it when they're interviewing, Joe Rogan's interviewing Marcus. He's like, you know, the movie's fine and all, but what was even crazier was the way how they got Marcus out of those mountains in Afghanistan. And but that wasn't in the movie. But he does mention that on the YouTube when he's talking with Joe Rogan. Like, that's like basically like you can make a whole nother movie on how they got Marcus out. But yeah, that's my video right there. It's a pretty long one. I hope you guys enjoy it, and I'll see you guys in another video.